Hey, Javi and Watch How how you guys doing? Oh, oh boy. Okay. I always like to check ahead of time. Is the sound okay? Can you hear all right? And how's the is the video okay? Making sure everything's working. Yes, no, who knows? Help me out, guys. Let me know. Can you hear me okay? Hey, GS Superman. Good. Thank you very much. Okay. Hey, Big Sal. Good morning to you too. Hey, Kebom from Atlanta. Hey, congratulations there if you're a Braves fan down in Atlanta. Hi, Andrew. Oh boy. Okay. Um, well, today is, I guess, the second day after. Hi, Tony. The second day after the Grand Prix Awards. Um, we did have a winner for the Grand Prix Picks contest that we have every year. Uh, the first part, Javi won the first one, where he got the most right for the ones that were nominated, and then Hong from Hong's from Singapore. He won the other one, getting the most of the actual winners. Or he won. He was able to get five. The rest of us got less than 5. I got 4, and some other people did too, but boy, I tell you, this one picking this year's, Grand Prix was really tough. Nobody got the winner. Nobody guessed that it would be, Bulgari, and that's who it was. Hey, Dominic and Alexandra, good to see you guys. Uh, wait, Alexander. Hi, neighbor. So anyway, this year proved to be a very interesting one, and the hi Fashar. What I wanted to talk about today was that um, the importance of the Grand Prix and sort of getting away from a totally naive view that some people say, well, the whole thing is fixed. That was well, there's certain kinds of things I'm sure that go into picking the winners. Now, I forgot how many. I think there were 30 judges. Um, hey, Bill, how you doing, man? um, the 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 idea that it's very easy to say, well, it's all rigged. So how come Rolex has never won? Well, Rolex entered once, got beat, never entered again. But they've always supported the Grand Prix, and so what they did, they shoved tutor out there and said, "You go, and if you win, great. We'll take credit for it. If you lose, you're on your own." It's sort of like a the way it worked. But I think for us, um, for us, I think um, that the important thing for us to do is to try to figure out really what's going on. The judges were a pretty mixed bag this year. One from the United States was a guy from Goldberg, uh, watch sellers, Govberg watch sellers in Philadelphia. He was one of the judges. There's a guy who lives up too far from me who I go and visit every night. He was a judge at one time and until 2017, I think. But and then this year there was number of judges were very well known, such as Jean-Marc Viderec was. Oh, the woman who is the head of a hand making company called Fiedler, she was also one of the judges, and so you have a really a mixed bunch there. Hey, Clyde, how you doing, man? So the idea is that people say, "Well, yeah, the whole thing is just for the industry." Well, yes, it is. Of course, it is. I mean, it is for the industry, but within the industry, they have to somehow figure out how to have the ones that win prizes be really have to be worthy of it in some manner, shape, or form. And then, of course, we ask, well, what about the other guys who lost? And that I think is a lot trickier issue. And so let's take a look at the winners. Well, first of all, the big surprise, at least to me and everybody who was in the Grand Prix picks, uh, yeah, for head judge me. Oh boy, I would I would say, look, guys, I want you to understand this from the outset. I'm bribable. I'll do anything for a watch. Anyway, uh, Bulgari. Now, I've always liked the Bulgari, the Octo shape, and the whole Octo series, and the Finissimo. That one won for the thinnest, I think, for the chronograph or something. Now, in order to in looking at these different watches, you say, well, geez, they're all Swiss, or most of them are Swiss. And what about the German watches? Alanga used to win all the time, and now I don't even know if they enter them anymore. And what about uh, Grossmann, Mertz Grossmann? Oh, they got these great watches, and they never won. They never won anything. And so this is something that is interesting on another level. Now, if you take Longa and you take Vacheron Constantin, you take Jaeger-LeCoultre, they're all owned by Richemont. So does it really matter? I mean, whether they're German or Swiss, they're all owned by the same group. Um, so this is something else I think we got to sort of figure in there. What's happening? Bulgari and Zenith, both of whom won prizes this year, are owned by the Caring Group, which is pretty sure it's French, but I'm not positive. Now, their operations are located in Switzerland, but they're not Swiss in the sense that they're part of a Swiss company. Now, I'm not sure who owns Richemont. I think their headquarters are located in Switzerland, but I've heard it rumored with no evidence whatsoever beyond that. Little evidence is that there's a lot of Russian oligarch money uh, in Richemont Group. So who knows what's going on. So anyway, so this is something that I think is sort of okay. Well, so what is happening? Okay, um, silicon isn't a crime. Hey, David, yes, it is. Silicon won. I think there was some watches. I don't know. Maybe the Bulgari had silicon in it. Um, one of the things, so it's sort of a minor crime in the men's watch prize with Grand Seiko. Now, the watch that they consider to have the most advanced watch is their spring drive watches, and the one that won is a 36,000 VPH El Primero. And when the guy got up there to accept the award, he said, I think it was like the 50th anniversary of El Primero. I said, we never won anything. And so they figured, well, it's their anniversary. We'll give them a prize for their anniversary. I don't know. The ladies' complication watch prize, that was the one I was rooting for, and it won. And it's Van Cleef and Arpels. One of the reasons that Van Cleef and Arpels has won so many is that the movements made by Agenor are so good. And so you'll see a lot of you. I think I did a compilation of all of the winning prizes. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take all of the Grand Prix winners from 2001. I started this several years ago and kept compiling it. And I think it's like if we look at the watches movements who won, the most are by Audemars Piguet, and I think the next most is by Vacheron Constantin and Piaget. I think they're tied now, but I'm not positive. I'd have to look. But then the next one after that is Hagenor. I mean, they don't make watches, but they do make the movements and the um, complications that go into watches that are good enough to win. So it's an interesting thing. The movement that they made that most people know is that win is the Augengraph, but they've made some other ones that are equally well. They're equally very good and innovative. So that's another kind of thing. And to say that they are ignored isn't true. And the fact that Jean-Marc Viderec was one of the judges, sort of, and he's sort of like one of the most respected guys around. I think everybody likes him because he doesn't have a watch that goes against theirs, but he does. There's movements in so many different ones that do win. they they're nice to him. Okay, hi Lee, how you doing, man? Um, okay, let's see. Hi, hater. Let's see. Okay, everyone's saying hi, Truman. Truman Burbank. Cool name. Okay, I'm a bit conflicted by the Louis Vuitton Tambour Street Diver. I want to talk about them in a second. They're Louis Vuitton is all, aren't they also? No, they're owned by Louis Vuitton, LVMH. Okay, that's another. I think a French one. Um, okay. Hey Tony, how you doing? Pepsi C, good to see you. Hong, there he is. Hong, congrats. This is Hong TW. Hong was the winner of this year's having the most correct wins in the Grand Prix. And so here's a guy that knows something about this. Um, Okie doke. And let's see. Oh, the Financial Times. Okay. I gotta see that. You know, there was an article in the Financial Times a number of years ago, and they explained why Rolex quit entering in the Grand Prix. And basically, they said they have everything to lose and nothing to win, which is true. I mean, when they go 1-to-1 against these other watches, and they look at the what's in them and everything else, they don't see any. They haven't seen anything new in a number of years, despite what the Rolex advertisements say. However, I have a big soft spot for Rolex simply because in their men's watch, with the exception of the what's it called, the Pearl Master, they have no silicon. They're not using. They have a silicon hairspring that they own, but they're not putting it into their watches. That's another story. We'll have to talk about it at some point. We already have to some extent. I think it was a remark that silicon is no sin. Sure, it is. I mean, yes, it is. I mean, it's like it has all kinds of other features, but that's like saying, well, batteries are no sins either. You know, quartz watches, the old traditional ones with the battery and stuff, they keep much better time. They have jumping seconds. You know, there are all kinds of things like that, and it's sort of this is the kind of thing that and I've noticed over the years that the Grand Prix is that they're starting to let quartz into a number of categories. They've always allowed quartz in the women's category, in the ladies group, and if you got this little bitty thing with lots of jewelry around it, and that those are okay. I think the number of one too on that. But not in not in the ladies' complications. I hate saying ladies sound so, I don't know, it doesn't sound like it used to. Okay, Hong, don't listen to Lee, please. Okay, still lockdown in Malaysia. Yikes. Okay. Parachrom Hairspring. That's right, Truman. Exactly. I love that. Now, see, the Parachrom Hairspring is made from chromium and niobium. And whereas the other one is made out of silicon. By the way, too, as far as silicon going into these luxury watches, I think it's going to be That's anyone like me who is still pining away for wanting to keep sort of traditional watchmaking with traditional metals and so forth. I think I'm going to lose that fight. But it doesn't mean that I still can't say they're wrong and it's evil, but I can. Um, Okay, good. Well, hey, Pastor, I'm glad everyone we got in fact, Hobby, remember this for the Grand Prix picks, Hobby won we have 3 awards. Hobby won the first one, Hong won the second one, and nobody won the third one. This is the second year in a row that nobody has been able to pick the winner of the Aiguille d'Or. And so, that makes it even more interesting, I think. Let's see. Bulgari and Tudor becoming the usual GPHG suspects. Abdul, I tell you, even more so than that is Audemars Piguet. Audemars Piguet's got tons more of wins than just about well, not anybody else, but I mean they have so many, and I don't know why Bulgari has been noticed so much. They don't have that many wins. I think they only have like counting everything, I think they only have a total of 4. The one that's really interesting is Beauvais. Beauvais came out of nowhere when Pascal Raffi sort of sort of re-put Beauvais into place and bought everything that was needed to have a full watch company. The demier for the movement making, and then the rest of it under Beauvais 1822, I think is the name of it. When he put those together, and then he he entered the Grand Prix a couple times, I think on the second or third time, he won the whole enchilada. He won the Aiguille d'Or, and since then he's won a few more. Another interesting one, and a watch company that has had such good watches, and they're getting even better, is H. Moser. What H. Moser used to do, it used to pull the dragon's tail, and they would have all these fun watches. They had one made out of Swiss cheese. They had another one with every iconic feature on it, and they used to just make fun of the very process that they were part of. Well, they got enough trouble that they realized that no matter what, they weren't gonna ever win a Grand Prix award unless they cut it out, and so they cut it out and they started winning awards. Well, they had these fabulous watches they were making. So there's I think to some extent there's a there they really need companies like the Bethune, MB&F, Wooten Lannen, Kristen Vanderklaw, these Akariva, these guys who are FP Journe, who are real watchmakers. In fact, I'd even include Al Longa in that, who will be the ones who come up with new ways of doing a lot of different, interesting horological things. And then in the background, underneath so many of these watches is Agenor. Nobody knows who they are, but they're the ones that have been creating all of these incredible um, movements and other devices. I think 3 different watches have won using the Agengraph um, movement. uh, they've been modified. One was Singer, another was, I think, Fabergé did, and then also H. Moser just last year, I think. So we've got all of this stuff going on. So how do we make sense out of it in this way? Say, okay, um, I'm gonna I'm gonna put a bet on this one. You know? So, I don't know. Okay, so let's see. Okay, what's up, Matt? Would you produce a video on the Parachrom Hairspring? I know very little about the technicalities. Why me? Get somebody. Um, Matt, I think I may have something on those. Let me look because I think I did do a video on the different ones. The ones that I compared it to was the Strawman hairspring by H. Moser's Precision Engineering, and that's another one of those things. There's a hairspring company. Well, it's actually part of the Sandoz Family Foundation. It has a vertical organization for at the top is Parmigiani and then Vauchour, but on down they've got a hairspring maker called I think it's Atacalpa, Atakalpa or Alto Coppa, one of the two. And I was looking at the numbers of hairsprings they've made, and it's like 300,000 a year compared to the number of watches that Parmigiani produces every year. So they're not doing it for Parmigiani, they're doing it for somebody else and a whole lot of people, and nobody's talking about it. That's another thing too that I think is important. In a certain project I've been working on, I've discovered all of these companies that I didn't even ever even think about before. And in watchmaking, you have all these little companies and the Swiss companies that are specializing um, in doing different things, such as making the dial and doing this and doing that. So that's something else. And do they get credit for it? Well, probably not for the most part, because so many of these watch companies say, "Well, we do the whole thing. Everything is in house." Well, but it's not. It's usually somebody else helps them out, or they buy the gears, or they get something from somewhere else. But they like to say it's all in house. Who knows? Swiss Alps mocking the Apple Watch was cool. Oh yeah, I agree. Truman. That one, but the Icon watch was my very favorite. I mean, they when they made when it had a tourbillon in it, they had this, it had that, it had the Pepsi bezel. I think just every stereotypical thing that they've been throwing on watches, and they made them destroy it. I got a feeling it's hidden somewhere, and that thing will be worth a fortune if they ever pull it out. I know so many people who are sitting out the current seller's market that I'm calling 2001 the great abstention. Good point. Good point. I hope that they don't come back next year with all of these too fabulous watches, but I would like to see a few good ones. Hey, Mark. Um, I think you're at the wrong. I think you're on the wrong online chat, Mark. You say gentlemen. I don't know if that's here. Oh, good to see you. Okay, so let's hear some from you guys. What do you think is really driving the decisions in this? And one of the things, the guy who's the head of the Grand Prix, there's one guy that is on one of the forums and was saying he thinks the guy is corrupt or he's awful. He's this English guy. He wears six rings. Really interesting. He's a real character, and I think he's a very well known horological journalist. But he got upset by him. I don't know why. Gee whiz, I don't know. Some jerk wearing a beret could do the same, have the same effect, I guess. Fiddler on a Roof. Yes. Uh, yeah, but this is something that Clyde mentioned. A lot of companies are sitting it out. And by the same token, I think a lot of companies that would not have otherwise entered because their own production was fairly humble, they did. They went ahead and did it. Look at, I think it's called Sega, the Chinese company, and they had a cool watch. They entered the same watch last year in the same category and didn't win. I think they gave it a different paint job or something, and it won. I think it deserved to win too, but it was the first time that a watch with a Chinese movement had ever won, and that was a big deal. Uh, oh, a lot of collectors are sitting out. Okay, yeah, that's probably true. Yes, that's true also. But I also think a number of companies didn't enter. One thing. Did any Can you think of any German companies that entered? I would think that this remarkable watch that Marco Lang made is was worth, you know, putting in. But I think that those things were so expensive and so few, he'd have to give one up that didn't want to do that. I don't know. Okay, hey Neferon, how you doing? I just looked at Moser Icon watch, and that is hilarious. Yeah, that is. I asked oh, what's his name? Milan about that. I had an interview, and I think when the interview was over and all of the microphones were off, I asked him about that, and he didn't say much. He was very diplomatic about it, but he did indicate that I wasn't the only one that thought it was a great fun idea. Okay, so let's hear from is, are we dealing with a totally corrupt system, or is it, there's sort of a method behind the madness? Because it means a lot to a watch. If a watch wins, boy, their sales shoot up. Same thing happens with the Academy Awards. If a movie wins an Academy Award, they even have a formula with a number of additional tickets that are going to sell for that movie. And there's all kinds, I mean, there are millions and millions, if not billions of dollars involved, and well, there are in the movies and probably, pretty close to it in, luxury watches as well. I predict that GPHG will be, as relevant as Base World pretty soon. I don't think so, Truman. Base World was very different, or Basil World, Base World. Yeah, I forgot the name already. I don't think that's going to happen with the Grand Prix because it's the only Oscars they have, really. I mean, what other one are they going to have to sort of show off all of their watches to an international audience in one place with basically what amount to minimal advertising costs or very minimum touch on their advertising budget or marketing budget. I think it's very important for the watches, even if they don't win. I mean, if you enter into that thing, you got millions of people are going to be looking at your watch. Now they may say, let's say you don't make it to the nomination stage, they're still going to say, "Gee, I wonder how come Joe's watch didn't make it." Okay. They don't. One of the things at GPHG, I think, let me see, there's a foundation, Horlogerie, and they have it really sounds better in French for the it's foundation. They did it as something Horlogerie. That thing is sponsored by Richemont, and I think there's a whole lot of Richemont money behind the Grand Prix as well as money from some of these other groups as well. I mean, when you take a look and see Bulgari and Zenith both winning in categories that are, are a big deal. You wonder, well, I guess the old Caring Group, they finally ponied up or something. I don't know. Uh, and Ordain, as an example, has had its profile massively raised. Yes, Andrew, that's a perfect example. I think, and, and the same thing happened with Kadoki. Um, his I think he entered twice, but I'm not sure, but he won on the second one, I know that, and that's true, and a lot of people saying, who was the one? Garrett, I think, Garrick. All kinds of people thought for sure Garrick should have won the challenge award. Now they didn't, but boy, everyone is saying, they looked at that watch, they thought, wow, that's a good, that thing ought to be, but Andrew, I think that's a perfect point. And so beside actually winning, it becomes sort of a way that they can get all excited about it. And then if they get nominated, man, I tell you this, the number of ads that I saw um, between the time of the nomination until the end, man, I tell you, I saw all kinds of ads for that. We were nominated for the 2021 awards. Our site, High Horology Lounge, Christian Vanderclaw never paid any attention to us at all. This year, we we get we got flooded with stuff. I happen to like Christian Vanderclaw's stuff if they'll fix my watch, but, there there's there's, oh, boy. Oh, the Gulch County Fair is opening a watch show. They should. Looks like MB&F won 2 awards. Yeah, MB&F won 2. The first one didn't surprise me at all. The second one floored me. I was so surprised that they won in artistic crafts. But Wooten Lannon also wins a lot in artistic crafts. I think he had one up this year that didn't win. But the one I liked in artistic crafts was this great one by Hermes. But the one, if you look carefully, there's all of this little engraving on the MB&F that won. So, oh, oh, bud, how you doing? Tell, hey, if put a word in with with Vandercloud, fix my watch. As of 2020, Audemars Piguet had 14 wins, Vacheron 11. Yeah, yep, yep. Hater, they did that this year. Piaget, Cleef and Arpels won another prize, and they go up in rank. They did. I've already got that loaded. By the way, too, I'll put that. I got the ones all the way back to 2001. I'll put it up on High Horology Lounge if you guys want it. It's in a PDF file. Um, a few years ago, I sent it to the Grand Prix, and they started using it. So then they had their own, so they don't need it anymore. Um, yeah, no hater. That's right. They went up. Uh, every like I said, more than anyone else, Audemars Piguet has won. The thing of it was so interesting. It took them 19 years before they won. They finally won the grand prize. Well, okay, it looks like my warning people are asleep at the wheel, but my time is up. Okay, let's see. Just in EDC, the Bulgari was cool, but the Dow felt a little flat. You know, I don't know. I've got I just finished a video on Oxen and Junior. These guys have more creativity, I think, in a little finger than all of these other guys do in their whole collection. But I don't think they've ever won. I don't even know if they've entered or not. But that's another one where you have all of this innovation. The interesting thing, though, about Oxen Junior, while they have this incredible innovation, they don't make their own movements. They use either ETA, Solita, or Urban Jurgensen. The guy who's the head of it, Exxon, he used to work for whatchamacallit, Ulysse Nardin. Anyway, well, listen, guys. Yep, frying pan time. Thanks, Tony. and, and somebody wake up the rancher. I'll see you guys later. Um, we'll be talking about more about this afternoon. If you're interested, it'll be 4 o'clock. By the way, too, for those of you who are in Europe and other places that have already made the time change, the United States is behind by about 2 or 3 weeks. Tomorrow, we finally go back on standard time, but we've been on daylight time. So, anyway, take care and hasta la vista.